Hello everybody, this is Jack and Crystal Lacy here for Awkward Conversations and Dirty Secrets. So we really appreciate all the people who gave us great feedback on our first podcast. 12 reasons why, what was it? 12, I forgot. 12 reasons why you can't find love. That's right. I said 12 reasons you should be loved. 12 reasons you should be loved. No, 12 reasons you can't find love. Why you can't find love. So anyway, but what we want to do this session for our episode 2 was we want to kind of go over some questions that we get asked, and kind of, the women and man opinions and thoughts on each one of these questions that we kind of get asked. So we're going to start off with Crystal's going to ask some questions and get my point of view and her point of view, and we'll just kind of see how it goes, and starting now. So thanks for watching, but don't forget we're also sponsored by Eharmony, so make sure you go below if you're on our YouTube or on our website at www.wingsandrelationships.com and click on the Eharmony link, and I think you get to sign up for free, so check that out. Alright, so we'll get started. Hello. Hi, baby.
Hi. So after our first podcast, we started getting a slew of questions, which we were super excited about, because that's what our podcast is ultimately about, is the awkward conversations that are so difficult to have and the dirty secrets that we must all keep. So that's what we're here to talk about and to discuss, and that hopefully will open the portal for you to all have with your significant others, your future relationships, to just make you all more comfortable in your own skin. So the first topic that we want to discuss tonight, and just so you all know, this is unrehearsed. We decided to not rehearse this beforehand, so this is very raw conversation, just so you know, so that's going to make it even more interesting. So one of the questions that we have received is, and this is very common, and some of you may have this question yourself, and just so you know, obviously we want these questions from all of you, and if you're feeling like, I have a question and I'd like to ask, but God, I don't want to ask this, like, my God, what will they think of me? Listen, if you have this question, we've probably had this question at some point. I've had it, or Jack's had it, or believe me, someone else in the world has had it. So please ask away. Don't feel like you can't ask, or someone else in the world has not had that question. We're not going to expose you. We're not going to say your name unless you'd like us to say your name. Obviously, we will shout you out.
We will shout you out. So you can go to Crystal at wingsandrelationships.com is the email. So kind of like asking Abby. So you can ask Crystal. Crystal at wingsandrelationships.com is the email. So definitely send us some questions if you have any. Let's go ahead with the first question. Let's see what's the topic or question.
The question is, a lot of us feel on our own unsexy, and as we mentioned in our first podcast, one of the 12 reasons that you can't find love is you don't know how to feel sexy. You don't know how to sell yourself. And that's whether or not you're in a relationship, or you're dating, or you're looking for love, or you're not. You just don't know how to present yourself.
It reminds me of an old song, looking for love in all the wrong places. Sorry.
Yes, and that too. But there's so many of us that, like, we just don't feel sexy anymore. We don't feel like we've got it anymore, whether or not we feel old, or just
you have to excuse our dogs downstairs. They like to play and get frisky, so give it here a minute sometimes. You can hear them. Hopefully stand by.
Yes. That's the crazy life of the crazy dog people. So anyhow,
so feeling sexy.
Feeling sexy.
So she asked me once, do I feel sexy, or what do I do when I feel sexy? And I told her, I said, I don't really ever like feel sexy. Like I will shave she likes my face clean shaven, and so I will shave my face. I will, of course, as men, I will manscape, clean the areas, you know what I'm talking about, and all that. I can get clean, take a shower, you know, put on cologne, deodorant, and that's how I feel like I'm getting sexy for her. But I don't ever feel like really sexy. Sometimes maybe if I'm like working out in the yard and I'm all sweating and I've been with tools all day, maybe a little bit sexy. But I don't have that, like, I don't think as sexy wise is the same as I think maybe a woman does, when she gets fixed up and dressed up, or she puts on lingerie or something like that effect. Because I go put on like my sexy underwear, but I don't feel any sexier than I do if I put on boxer briefs that are all baggy. I feel the same. Maybe some guys feel different.
And you know, that's something that I think that we all need to visit, and we need to, you know, consistently be making contact with in our lives. Because how many relationships fall apart because we're not thinking about those things? You know? I mean, I don't know how many couples that I've known in my lifetime that stop having sex, or, you know, don't love each other anymore. Or how many women that aren't even in relationships anymore because they don't feel like they can get anyone. How many men that won't even try to find a woman, you know, or a date or a lover, because they don't feel like they're sexy. They don't feel like they're man enough, or, you know, attractive enough. Well, let me tell you something. It doesn't matter if you are Matt Damon or, you know, just a regular man or woman. You are sexy to someone. Everyone is sexy to someone. And it is all about what you put into yourself. Believe me when I say that. You make yourself sexy, and you truly have to believe that, and you truly have to put it into yourself and work with yourself. Because if you don't do that, and you don't truly believe that, you won't believe it, and no one else will believe it. I mean, that's what
sometimes it's like humor. So I like, if I make her laugh, and I feel that makes me feel kind of sexy. So I'm kind of like, I'm the dad joke extraordinaire, and I'm the silly, funny one a lot of times. And so when I make her laugh and make her happy, that makes me kind of feel more. That makes me feel more manly. So I don't know if it's like sexy or maybe manly. I feel more manly. Like I said, fixing things. She's fixing to. I'm from Texas. But she has things that like, oh, that's broke. I go fix it. Then I'm all like, ha ha, yeah. And you remember Tim the Toolman Taylor?
Yes.
You ever watch that show?
I did.
So Tim the Toolman Taylor,
guilty pleasure.
He used to go ar 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 or something like that. Where he fixed stuff, because that's, you know, a lot of those guys, like, we fix things. Like our wives wants to fix stuff, and when you fix it, then I think you feel more manly, and so maybe not feel like sexy, but I feel manly, and that makes me kind of a better mood, as I might think of the word. So feeling kind of manly makes, so women, you make feel sexy in your lingerie, and you feel sexy in your nice dress, or you feel sexy because you got a new hairdo or whatever. And men, we kind of feel, maybe not the word sexy, we feel manly. Maybe manly is what I'm thinking of. It's like I feel more manly when I do certain things, and then you kind of get more in the mood, if your woman makes you feel manly. How many guys, like, she goes, oh, I never could have done that. You're just my big strong man. Thank you for doing that. Don't you all like, oh, that's right, I'm the big strong man, and so you're kind of more in the mood in that sense. Same thing when you see your wife, you go, oh my goodness, like, you look beautiful in that dress. Or she walks in the bedroom and you go, oh my God, when did you get those new drawers? Maybe not drawers, panties. When did you get those new drawers, panty drawers?
You just said drawers.
Well, it is. People wear drawers.
Baby, women don't wear drawers.
Women wear panties,
thongs, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so those good things.
We don't wear drawers.
They're drawers. Anyway.
I never heard you say we were in drawers. Please don't ever say that.
That's because that's a Texas thing. I grew up saying drawers.
I swear to God, I've never heard him say that before. Not to me.
Sometimes my old Texas accent and words come out. If you ever seen, I do a character called Billy Bob Boone.
That might be sexy to some women, though.
I do a character called Billy Bob Boone. It's all about kind of a redneckish kind of person, but it's actually making fun of my family and myself. That
Whatever works for you.
I'm actually from old school country Texas, so that's sometimes that oozes out. Like I'm fixing to fix this thing. What do you mean you're fixing to? So if anybody from another state, especially up north, if you're listening, you may understand we have a little bit of an accent here in Oklahoma and Texas area.
Fixing to.
So I'm from Texas, born and raised, and live here in Oklahoma now. And Crystal's born in Oklahoma. Well, you were actually born in Texas, technically, weren't you?
My mother lived in Texas when she was pregnant with
Right.
me, but the closest hospital was actually in Oklahoma.
So you're born and raised in Oklahoma. But really and truly, I've lived in both, and there's not a real big difference.
Not a big difference.
People in Oklahoma make fun of Texas. People in Texas make fun of Oklahoma, but they're very similar.
Yeah.
So anyway, so what's another question you got?
Honestly, I just want to say that I'm glad that you said that, because the sexiness, psychologically, this goes back to my psychology degree. Sorry, side note. But seriously, when a woman or a man, speaks of someone, their significant other doing something that made them feel sexy, you doing that thing for me, or, I did that thing for you. Like, I don't know if any of you women have seen that meme. I saw this meme before I met Jack, obviously, but there's a meme floating around out there. You guys might want to Google it. I don't know. This guy, he's standing on a couch with a drill. This goes back to, like, it sparked my memory when Jack said, it makes him feel sexy when he fixes things for me. And it is true, like, and this doesn't do it for every woman. I'm not saying that it does, because everybody's different, and that's okay. Everybody has their thing. But he's standing on a couch with a drill, and he's, fixing something, obviously, who knows what, but it says at the bottom, I don't know what he's fixing, but mine just broke. Right. It doesn't show his face, nothing, but he's standing up there with no shirt and, some jeans. You can see a little bit of his underwear. Like, right. It's that whole thing, but, and then...
So you remember Mr. Clean? Have you seen the Mr. Clean commercials? Where he's over there mopping and cleaning, and the ladies are all like, oh, look at him. Oh.
Right.
It's the same thing. So, I was like, I do the same thing. Like, if I'm cleaning the house and it makes my wife happy, then I'm all like, that's right. Like Mr. Clean.
Yes. Oh, and now.
If you can see my head, if you've seen pictures, I got Mr. Clean heads. So.
They're super sexy Mr. Clean videos. Ladies, go Google it. Oh, my God. Yeah. The super sexy Mr. Clean commercials on YouTube.
If you whisper, I don't know if they can hear you.
Sexy Mr. Clean videos, YouTube
they're fun.
Commercials.
Yeah,
they're great. They're super funny. But anyway, and that goes back to love languages too. Like, you know, if that's your love language, like acts of service. So yeah, I definitely think that that's a good, you might see a husky tail in here a little bit. Pepe Le Pew.
Probably not, because the camera will be cut about here, maybe. When I edit this video, it'll probably be right here. So you may not see Axl Rose. He's
his hair.
One of our huskies here.
Okay, he's okay.
So, anyway, that's one. We have several. We have 2 huskies and an Airedale dog. For those who love dogs.
This is Axl Rose. He can climb up the stairs. He's the only one brave enough to climb up the stairs.
So we're upstairs. He can come up here. So, question. It's funny. It's a question I get asked a lot of times, because my wife definitely is, you know, appealing to men. She's pretty, and so I get asked a lot of times, how did I get such a pretty wife? And the thing was that I just didn't talk to ugly girls. No, I'm kidding. It was all based upon, you know, everybody has their like. You're going to be attracted to certain people. There's my wife was attracted more to the clean-shaven head because she likes Bruce Willis and type looks, and so me, I was more into, like, I like the blonde, blue-eyed type, you know, woman. So it's like you're attracted to certain things. So you should never, like, veer off and say, you know, I'm not attracted to that type of woman anymore. If you're attracted to somebody because of their looks, that's fine, but that's just the beginning of something. Once you meet somebody and talk to them, you'll find out you're attracted to their inner person, of different things that they're interested in that you're interested in. And that's kind of hard to explain sometimes to somebody, because through my life I've met some really beautiful women, but they're also really ugly on the inside, and they're really didn't have like good hearts and good souls and good aura about them. So it's not always about the physical appearance that you see on the outside. So just something, I don't know why I couldn't start talking about that anyway.
And no, I'm glad you did, because likewise I've met some really great looking men, but a lot of them were real douchebags. Imagine that. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Axl agrees. I've met some guys that were great looking, made lots of money, and, you know, but they just were terrible people. Terrible people. Just like the type of people you go out on a date with and you're just like, I could like never see myself even remotely like being with this kind of a person. Like, I don't care how sexy this person is, like, this person is actually a horrible type of person.
Yeah. So going back to sexy sometimes may look one way when you first meet somebody. Once you get to know them, maybe that sexiness kind of goes.
Right. It's sexy in one way, but totally unsexy in another way.
It's like looking at celebrities. You can always say, oh man, that celebrity is beautiful or good looking or sexy or something, but you don't know them personally. We've all met celebrities. I'm sure you've met some that you just like. Some of them you're like, oh my gosh, they're so great. Other ones you're like, I don't like that person anymore because I've met them and I've figured out the kind of person they are. So just kind of remember that when you're thinking about sexiness. So anyway, that doesn't have any. That just goes not everything to do with any questions, but just something keeps popping in my head to different little things.
Yeah, it's
because
true.
I've met, unfortunately, I've met a lot of celebrities in my careers for years, and some of them are really great, and some of them were not so great at all. And it really changes your opinion. It's harder to watch some movies with people that you've met in person and you think everybody's like, oh, they're so great, and they're like, yeah, but in real life they're not. Or it's better to watch some movies because you're like, man, that person was amazing as a human being when you met them, and so you're more enthused to kind of see it. The same thing when you meet somebody personally. You know, you'll meet somebody like we met on Match.com. Pictures and the conversation before we met was great, but I think once we met in person, we had our first dinner, like the chemistry was great, and I actually asked my wife out on a second date the same day. Like, we had a dinner, I went back to work, because I did during our lunchtime, and then I asked her out the same night, and we went out on our second date on the same night that we met. So I think that's part of, you've got to have that chemistry, you've got to have that appeal, and I think some of it's not only just, definitely some of it's physical, but you're going to have some that's going to be spiritual type, you're going to have some that's going to be your soulmate type, you're going to have some that's going to be, I really like that person. So you got to think about all the different things when you're trying to get into a relationship. Don't jump into something, but at the same time, if things are right and they feel great, then go with it, and see where it leads you, because it could lead you to the marriage, to your best friend, your soulmate, like I did with Crystal, or it could lead you to, hey, I've got a good friend. It didn't work out that part, but we're good friends. Or it could lead, to the fact that you say, you know what, just because now I know that not every good-looking person or this is a great person inside. So one of the funnest people I ever met was Don Felder from the Eagles, and I spent a week with him. I used to do bodyguard work when I was a police officer for extra money, and I bodyguard him. And you just think Don Felder, he played the guitar with the Eagles, he did his own album, the heavy metal album, which wasn't really heavy metal, but Don Felder, and his personality as a person was excellent. Same thing with Michael Biehn. Michael Biehnn's personality, I spent a little time with him, was just excellent. And then you met some people, I won't name these actors that I met, that the personality were horrible. But you can email Crystal at wingsandrelationships.com, and I'll answer you on there who they were. But it's the same theory. We went to Ireland a few years back, and our first night there, I know we're supposed to ask some questions, I'm telling stories, is that all right? Okay. We went to Ireland. Our first night there, we went to a pub that was down the road from our B&B, just because we had to go have a Guinness and visit an Irish pub. And we got there, and the pub's like 400 years old, and people were in there chatting and having a good time watching a soccer game, which they call football, and just having a good time. And so I'm walking around looking, and I start talking to some people there, and next thing you know, they invite us over to the table, and we're sitting there with like 5 or 6 different people from Ireland, and they're just chatting, and we're having a good time. And one of the older guys, and funny, his name was George Clooney. So George Clooney in Ireland, if you're watching, no, I'm just kidding. He was really awesome, but he said to me, he goes, asked me how long I've been in Ireland, and I told him, I looked at my watch, and I said about 6 hours now. He goes, man, you are so witty. He goes, I figured you've been here for forever, like for a long time. So it's neat, those building relationships. Sometimes we do talk about, you're finding a wife or a girlfriend or a spouse. Sometimes also building a relationship is people you meet every day. So I want to throw that out there. So what were some other questions you had?
Definitely. People in Ireland are awesome, but yeah, it's definitely relationships. All of our stuff goes back to relationships, but
do you have another question?
I want to talk more about the sexy, because I wasn't finished with that.
Oh.
Where did we leave off on that? We were talking about
Mr. Clean.
Doing things for each other, how that can be sexy.
The 5 love languages.
The 5 love languages goes back to that. So not just being sexy for each other, but doing things for each other. I think that definitely can be sexy, because whether you're dating, but obviously when you've been in a relationship for a while, I think a lot of people tend to stop doing things for each other that are special, whether it's, your regular, everyday house, BS, sweeping the floor, doing the dishes, all that boring stuff. But those little things are appreciated. I mean, Jack does those things for me, and I appreciate it so much. I mean, there's a lot of men out there that are, we're gonna do that bullshit. I mean, come on, are you really above doing something like that? I mean, there's things I do for him all the time, and he notices those kinds of things, and that's why we're so close, because we do those things for each other, and we both truly appreciate it. And believe me when I say that those are the things that make your relationship special and make you close. And when you make a point to show your partner how much you appreciate that, not just say it, but actually show them how much you appreciate that, they feel that, and that is sexy. But two, a lot of current relationships, going in current relationships, whether you live with somebody or you're dating somebody, you know, you've been dating them for a while, you've been seeing them for a while, or you've been married for a long time, you know, years. I hear this all the time, and I see this all the time. You know, you stop caring. You just don't care anymore. And I'm not saying it's not okay, you know, to wear your sweats around the house, because that is totally okay. I do that all the time. I mean, Jack comes home half the time and I'm in a sports bra and leggings and no makeup, and I haven't washed my hair in 2 days. But
I don't know about you guys, but that's sexy.
But make an effort to be sexy. I mean, don't be a slob all the time. Nobody wants to see that. You know, I mean, be the person your person fell in love with. You know, if you're, you know, it's really hard when you're a mom, especially because, you know, you've got so much going on. Believe me, I know. I have 3 kids. They're grown now, and I still have a hard time sometimes. You know, I work all the time, and I come home late sometimes, and it's like all I can do. But, you know, you've got to make an effort for yourself and your partner.
All right, so that interruption was brought to you by, no, I'm kidding. So things happen, and you're going to learn as a parent or as a dog owner or anything in life that things happen and you get interrupted. So you'll see that our conversation we were talking about might have got interrupted there, and we're starting over here. So back to the sexy talk.
Back to the talk. So yeah, whether it's once a week, once a month, surprise your partner, be all dolled up and makeup on and hair did, you know, when your partner comes home from work. Wait to see the look on their face, you know, be all ready to go out and surprise them with like, hey, we're going out tonight, we're gonna go have a drink, we're gonna go out for dinner. Like, wow, the look on their face. I mean, that's sexy, right? Yes. You know, plan those nights out. Those are sexy. Like, don't stay home all the time. You know how many couples I know that never go out? They never go do anything. And sometimes it's, you know, the guy, sometimes it's the girl, sometimes it's both of them, and sometimes it's because the guy gives in to the girl, sometimes it's the woman gives in to the man. And you know what? That should never happen. So you guys have got to get together and say, hey, we're going to make this effort together. This is going to be a mutual effort. We're going to do this consistently, no matter what we have going on. Jack and I both work quite a bit of hours, and we have a side business. We have kids, we have dogs, and we make this work. We plan time together. We make sure that we have time together, because that time together is sexy and it is sacred, and you have to have it. You have to make sure that you have it, because if you don't, your relationship together will suffer. The same thing if you're single. Be sexy to yourself. Spend time with yourself. Schedule that time with yourself. Have a date night with yourself. Get a movie, go out, make a reservation with yourself. Get dolled up, get those heels on, get that dress on, and go out. Sit at that table, sit at the bar, order a drink, and please believe if you walk in with every confidence, you are going to have all eyes on you. I don't care who you are, I don't care what size you are. Yes, mama, daddy. Am I right? Am I wrong?
That's right, yeah. So the biggest thing about that is that from a guy's point of view, when you're a single guy and you're going out doing whatever you do, you got to go out and don't be depressed, don't feel like you're lonely, and don't be so desperate to find somebody. It's like, go out and just enjoy the conversation you have with just people and period, and that you're hanging out with, and that'll draw attention to you in a way that people will start chatting with you, and chances are you have more chances of meeting people, not for friends, whatever, possibly romantic relationship, but just the fact that I'm pretty good about just going out and yakking with total strangers. That's something I'm good at. But back when I was single, if I was actually thinking about, I'm going to go out and find somebody to date, I was not good at it, because I had that mindset that, I've got to find a date, I've got to find a girlfriend, but when I get that mindset, that was completely gone, and then I just go to somewhere, like, shoot, I'm like a talkaholic, dad joke, and it attracts people to us in that sense, and so you got to remember that anytime that you're doing things like that, that you attract people by your, like she said, by your confidence and by your charisma and different things like that. So be yourself, but be confident, and just have a good time with life, because life's too short to sit there and worry about, I didn't look right, I didn't do this right, and later on you look back and you be like, oh man, if I just been more funny then, or I just been more just myself, chances are things would have turned out better, and they would have. So
it's true. And it's so hard, because when we are going out, we think of, oh my gosh, you put so much pressure on ourselves, but you just got to let that pressure go, because what's going to happen is going to happen, and you just got to let that shit go. I mean, don't put that on yourself. I used to put that on myself. Jack used to put that on himself. It's a game, just like we said in the last episode. It's a game, and if you're not having fun, you might as well quit, because no one is going to want to be with you. They're going to feel that aura from you. Nobody wants to be around that. And then going back to couples that have already been together, married couples that live together. This is another thing. Being sexy together, I think, is tough for a lot of people. I kind of want to talk about that for a minute, because we kind of touched on that a little bit, but I think that is something that is difficult for a lot of women and a lot of men. We started to talk about that a little bit, and I want to kind of go into that a little bit more, because again, a lot of marriages go stale. A lot of marriages end because a spouse cheats. A spouse leaves because it's boring. It's which is not a good reason, in my opinion. But I mean, not that you should have to have a reason to keep your marriage alive, but keep your marriage fun because you want to keep it fun, because you love your spouse, because you want to be with your spouse because you want to have a good time with your spouse. I think so many times we get so focused on our everyday mundane schedule and routine that we don't think about what's really important in our lives, our relationships. Relationships with everything. I'm not going to go into everything else right now because we're focused today on our intimate relationships. But so I thought for a long time, I felt, because the awkward conversations, like I felt like I couldn't talk about that and being sexy, and like I couldn't, okay, so I can dress up and be sexy for my spouse? Like, I can, what does that mean? Like, what can we do as women? What can we do as men? Like, use your imagination. Like, I mean, use your imagination. Come on, ladies. Like, why do women feel like so ashamed that they can't do those things for their spouses, their boyfriends, their girlfriends? Like, there are so many women out there that feel like they can't do that. And this is the awkward conversation part and the dirty secrets part that we're going to get into, because there are so many of us that feel like that we can't talk about that.
And there are some deeper questions that we'll get into in other episodes. They're going to be a little more, I guess, adult questions. So make sure you stay tuned to some of our episodes in the future, because we did get some of those questions, and we want to make sure that we answer those. But that may be another. That's going to definitely be another episode, and we'll have to do adult-only type of episode, because those, yeah, because unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever way you look at it, there's some very sexual questions a lot of men and women have that they're afraid to ask their spouse about. And so that's another thing, is don't be afraid to talk. Don't be afraid to think about things that you like or don't like, and voice them. Say, this is what I love, this is what I don't like. And so, you know, and then sometimes you have to compromise, because I mean, I promise you, Crystal does not like me walking in the bedroom with my Star Wars outfits on, thinking I'm sexy, because she doesn't find that sexy. But you know, stuff like that, you just got to figure out kind of what you like and don't like. Because I feel really cool and sexy, like in my Star Wars mask and outfit, and I'm all black and looking pretty cool. But anyway, you got to figure out kind of what you like, what your spouse likes, what you both feel like is sexy. And you got to communicate that, and you'll figure out what makes you both happy as a compromise, because you're not going to be exactly liking everything. So just talk about it. You know, don't be afraid to talk about it. Get a glass of wine, Martha Stewart wine. Yeah,
yes, Martha Wine is one of our sponsors.
That's right.
And we're sitting here drinking Martha Wine tonight. But sometimes, I've always said, if it's a tough conversation to have, I always say the tough conversations are what makes for the good relationships. And sometimes it's really good to have a little glass of wine before you go have that tough conversation. But those awkward conversations, and that's a big part of why we're doing this podcast, is because, number one, it's honestly, it brings us even closer together. But part of our mission is to help other couples and bring them closer together, because we've become closer together through, you know, talking to each other more. And believe me, we've had some awkward conversations. But, you know, talking to each other, and it's really hard, especially if you've never talked to your spouse about, or your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, about any of these kinds of things. It's difficult to start, especially if you've been together for a really long time, It's super easy if you're new in the relationship because, oh, you can start fresh and you can go into the relationship this way. It's the best way. But if you've been in a relationship for a while, it's a little bit difficult, but it can definitely be done. But nevertheless, it is something that needs to be done to keep your relationship strong and to keep it for the long haul. You need that communication, and it's a no-brainer. Like, if you have that good communication, I mean, such a load is just off of your shoulders when you can talk to your spouse about anything. Like, I mean, stupid stuff and like the really weird, awkward conversations like we're having right now. I mean, because we all have those things on our mind, like right now, the things we're talking about right now.
Like, speaking of that, so if you like ever sit down with your spouse or your significant other, boyfriend, girlfriend, lover, whatever, and sit there and say, hey, what do you find sexy? Not about me. I mean, you don't always turn about what's about me, but what do you find sexy? Do you find, some people are find the scent of something, right? You think about colognes or perfumes or aromas of some sort that trigger sexiness in something, you know. How many times you've seen those pictures of rose petals all over the beds, and you can imagine the aroma of like the rose petals in their bedroom, and some women find that sexy, or what's about a barn with hay in it, and you go roll in the hay. Remember that old saying? So it's like that scent and the thought of that. So everybody has so many different ideas of what is sexy. Or it may not be like what is sexy about me, but what do you find sexy? Do you find that when I wear this certain shirt, or I wear this certain cologne, or do you find that sometimes when we're eating this certain type of food that I'm sexy? Like, I'm eating my spaghetti, I'm very sexy when I eat my spaghetti. Not really, but those kind of things. So you gotta talk about the different things like that, because it's all about touch. It's all about smell. It's all about visual, not just my visual and hearing. All those things tie into how you feel about sexuality and how you feel about somebody that's with you and what's going on. Because if you have, somebody walks in super sexy and the room's all messy and everything stinks and it looks a mess, then it's kind of that's your mood. As my wife was talking about earlier about, she's got to have the house clean in a certain way so her mood feels better. And when your mood feels better, then you're more in the mood to be intimate with somebody. So just something to think about.
Indeed. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
So in light of Jack's statements just now, I'd like to end on that note. I want to challenge all of you that are in relationships currently to ask your partners, what are the 3 sexiest things? You can say 5 if you want, but at least 3. The 3 most sexy things that you find about me, and vice versa.
Yeah, that's good.
It's a great conversation for tonight.
So, awesome. So definitely get with your partner, your spouse, your wife, your husband, your lover, your whatever you want to call them, in any form or fashion, because it doesn't matter. Ask them those 3 questions. 3 things that make you feel like I'm sexy. Is that right?
Yes. And feel free to share if you feel apt to do so.
Yeah, so you can always check us out on wingsandrelationship.com. Again, Crystal at wingsandrelationship.com. You can email her.
Or any of our social media venues.
And if you're really crazy, you can always email me. I'm Jack at wingsandrelationship.com. We're happy to hear from everybody what your thoughts and ideas are. But again, we appreciate you watching. Make sure you're going and checking out our blogs, our YouTube. We got a lot going on, and we're excited to share all of it with you because we want to help you build better bonds and help with awkward conversations and dirty secrets. So thanks for watching.
Yes.
Dun, 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 dun. Oh dear Lord. I gotta pee. No, I'm just kidding.